So we're now in the second week of Trump's presidency, and 538 has alas gifted us with the polling average for his approval rating. And that's great news because we're probably going to be looking at that a lot the next 4 years. It'll be updating live. So initially, it definitely tells us a story that is a lot. Well, I don't know how much a lot says. For Trump, it's a lot. It tells us a huge story in terms of how it's going to go during his presidency. Now, at the moment I'm recording this video, his approval rating currently stands at 49.9%. It's basically 50. And his disapproval rating stands at 42.6%, which is basically 43. So that is a 7 point advantage. And this is his honeymoon period, so by default, he was always going to start out with an approval rating that was, generally speaking, a pretty good number to be going in with, or at least for Trump. Now, let's just be clear, historically speaking, that's not really that great. In fact, that's still pretty low. Joe Biden 4 years ago started out with around like a 35% disapproval when he began, and that evaporated within a year, and he went underwater. It was the reverse. So for Trump to be starting out at 50%, it is a milestone for him. So it depends which context you look at. Generally speaking, historically, this is a low number, but if you solely rank it to Trump, it is really record heights for him. It is definitely it's nirvana for him. And I really think that it's not going to last. In fact, I would be surprised if he has a net favorability rating above his uh like above water for even the next 3 weeks. It's and the reason for that is he's already had a pretty busy start where he signed a flurry of executive orders which scale from polarizing to just clearly unpopular. And that is not going to go over well with the majority of Americans. That doesn't mean it's going to tank his approval rating because overall, it's not always correlated that they like your policy and they'll approve of you at the same time, but it will not help his numbers. And the fact is, it's not really hard to see him losing 7 points pretty fast. I mean, he is going to do many things that will really test that number. And my expectation is that we're still going to see something that looks like his first term, in which his approval rating is going to hover, I want to say 35 to 45%. And that was kind of what it was during his first term. I sort of think it's going to be a little higher of a floor this time, maybe 37 to 47, maybe 38 to 46, a number more above what we would have expected the first time. I don't think we're gonna see, and I could be wrong, but I don't think we're gonna see his approval ratings really drop into like low 30s, high 20s. I just don't see that happening. He has a very ardent core base, which accounts for at least a guaranteed 35% all the time. And of course, voters that do not like him, they account for a number I want to say is a little bit more above that. I think this 43% kind of represents that. I don't see him winning these people over in that time frame. I do think this is going to decline. He is a very polarizing figure, and his track record doesn't indicate he's going to make a change on that anytime soon. So, if I had to guess, this honeymoon period will probably dissolve probably in the next week or two, and then he'll go underwater and kind of stay there before the end of February. And it will be up to him to determine if he's going to stay in that low range of what my confidence interval is, which is 35 to 45, or be in the high range or even break it at times. Interesting 4 years ahead. Definitely a good start for Trump, but him keeping it, I wouldn't hold my breath.